Welcome to You Are Not Alone. This is a safe place to explore all things spiritual and beyond. I am spiritual medium Erika Gabriel. Hello, friends. Welcome back to You Are Not Alone. How is everyone? I have a guest. I'm so excited. Normally I would chat for a little while, bring you some food for thought, but I have a guest. And as you guys know, I really have slowed the guest flow. Haven't I? I feel like we've done so many solos. I've really slowed down having guests. And as you guys know, you listen in, and so many of you contact guests that I have, work with them. So I'm so choosy. I feel like I say that every time, but the choosiness is not in standing in judgment. It's just, I have to feel that it's safe. Like, I've had the coolest pitches with amazing people and I'll just get a no. And I don't know why. And it's nothing negative about them. It's just something about maybe timing or fit. So I have a guest and I'm so thrilled and I'm happy for you guys to hear her today. She is a psychic counselor. Her sessions are soul sessions or quantum healing sessions. So we want to know more about that. She's written 5 books. She has 25 years of experience. And we talked about before we started, I just want to vibe out with her and just chat and to chat with a fellow psychic. As you guys know, I'm a spiritual medium, but just get to connect on a deeper level with her. And I'm excited for you guys to hear this story and her story and this conversation. So Lisa, is it Campion or Campion?
Campion, just like champion without the H.
I made it like French there for a minute. I was like, Campion.
It's actually Irish. So
okay, so I'm
Campion,
way off.
yeah.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's so nice to see you and to be with you.
So glad to be here with you. Thank you for having me on your show. It's super fun.
It's you're going to love it because you'll get a lot of feedback because the people that listen to this show are true spiritual seekers. And so they really want to kind of hone in and tune in, especially with people that I get drawn to. I'm just laughing because, I have to tell them this story. So when Lisa and I, something wires crossed with us getting together on the site that I do this podcast on. And when we finally got together, it was supposed to be 4, it was 4:20. And I was praying, I'm like, please, Lisa, stick with me. We're going to find each other in the ether of the internet. So it's like, we get together on 4:20. And I was like, here we are. We made it. It's 4:20. We should get stoned. And she doesn't know me. So you kind of looked at me like, is she for real? Is this girl crazy? But then I was saying, I can't smoke weed. I'm a horrible weed smoker at this point because I'm just so paranoid. And Lisa said you had a terrible time.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's not a friend to me. So I'm like the girl that's on the bathroom floor, like crying and saying, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. That's, or like put me in front of the TV so I can watch Scooby-Doo cartoons until it's done.
And I told her, I'm like, I literally think I found Jesus eating pot brownies one time, but not a good one, praying to Jesus, please help me. I will follow you if you help me. But I think
that's me too.
Don't you think that's true? There's certain things I think for mediums and psychics and sensitives that just we digest differently. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially for us psychic types, it's like we don't really need that to help us cross the veil, help us get open up to those other senses. And it's a little bit too much medicine. And, I really believe that for some people, cannabis sort of really helps their brain chemistry, helps can be very healing medicine for many people. Just for me, it just opens my psychic to the point where I feel like I'm going crazy. And I can't pull it back in. I can't find myself. I can't ground. So it opens me and sort of, I feel like strips my defenses away, which I think that's why a lot of sensitives feel paranoid. I also think it sort of can create holes in our energy field, which is also why I think we can feel paranoid.
That makes so much sense to me. And it's really interesting. And I know, we started out this conversation with it being kind of funny, but it went here for a reason because so many people that listen in are sensitives or psychics or, just emerging spiritual seekers, and they're feeling all these things, or they're feeling like certain people they're not comfortable around anymore, or they're having this awareness in a different way as they're opening up spiritually. And so this is, super relevant to that. I mean, do you open and close like when you're out and you're like in Target? Like what's happening for you there? Because this will help people.
It takes sort of a lot of energy for me to be out in public because I have to, like, shut myself down, and I do it in a very conscious way. Um, I really have to, like I feel like, the horses with the blinders on, um, and if I it's not fun if I'm not able to do that, you know? I find those big box stores. I always say Costco. Costco's like the ultimate spiritual test. When I practice my like energy management, before I go in, halfway through, I have to redo it. And if I don't, I'm like, I don't remember my name or where I parked my car.
Oh, yeah, it's very disorienting.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I think we have, and that's where these things, especially for empaths and sensitives, we have to practice um, grounding and clearing, energy management, protection, um, so that we can just even be comfortable moving about the world. And that's why that's one of my topics that I love. That I wrote a book about that called Energy Healing for Empaths. That's sort of meant for my fellow empaths to help us learn how to manage our gifts so we can move about the world and do what we came here to do.
That's so amazing. So 5 books, isn't that like you would think, wow, 5 books, do you still have stuff to say? But I feel like spirit and working with spirit is so vast. You could probably write 100 books, right? How do you get like
Yeah.
the inspiration for each book? Is it what's going on in the collective for you or
I think it's more because I'm a teacher, So I teach classes and I taught Reiki for 27 years. And I was teaching stuff for, how to help empaths understand how to manage their energy. I teach psychic development. Um, and and the books come out of that. It's like I teach a class for a long time and then I write a book about it, And it's really what I'm working with on mentoring people. Like I really feel like my mission in life is to help train emerging psychics, healers, and empaths to fully step into their gifts because I think the world needs all the healers it can get. And my mission in life is to create an army of healers to go out there and save the planet. And that it's a pretty strong mission in me. So that my whole life, like since I was little, I've had that idea. That I knew that that's what I was here for. And I think it is especially true for me because I was, born in the 1964, and totally psychic right out of the boat, like born that way. And it was really painful and difficult to be psychic at that in that I was born out in New England, just outside of Boston. And it wasn't a conversation you could have. It wasn't something really you could talk about or, I couldn't find any help. Right. So I remember going to the library when I was 10 years old and looking up books on psychics. And I found like Uri Geller on spoon bending and Jane Roberts and Edgar Casey, which that's classic stuff, but didn't help me in my sort of panic of like, what the heck is going on with me? How do I deal with this? What is this even going on? And so I feel like I struggled with it so much that I like wrote the books I wish I could have found in the library that day. I teach the classes that I was striving for. I became the mentor and teacher that I wanted to have. And I think that's because it sucked so much for me. Anytime that I can help somebody go through a psychic opening or a spiritual opening and do it more gracefully than I did is really, I think, that my driving mission.
to get that support and also that guidance? Because I think what I hear from people that they can go so far astray, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
get wrapped up in like the darkness or, all kinds of things, which you can do, but then you need to know how to find your way back and how to ground and how to, focus your energy in the light, right? So you can get very wrapped up and get very scared and very lost really fast.
Yeah, and I did. I made every mistake in the book. Everything. I really feel like I learned it all the hard way. And I think like I make sense of those experiences is like, okay, it was all research. I learned a lot, and I can, if I can help other people prevent, if I can prevent other people from falling down the rabbit holes like I did, that's good.
Do you work with guides, spirit guides?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I work with spirit guides. I have a whole spirit team that's been with me my whole life. Yeah. And we're there's 13 of them, and my own higher self is one of them. And they're there's a bunch of different types of guides in there. But yeah, that's a lot of what I do is help people know who their guides are, and help them learn how to connect with their guides on their own, because I think it's so powerful when we learn how to make that connection for ourselves. A lot of good can happen in our life.
Do you get names of guides for other people?
Sometimes, sometimes I do, especially the ascended masters because they were human and had names, but angels, I find it really difficult because they don't have names like we humans do. They have like titles or designations or, you know, uh, um, that I don't, they're not human. So they don't have designations, and the super like high frequency, beings of pure consciousness also in the not human category, they often don't have names. So we have to sort of find, I think angels are like, my name is like, no, but you can call me Fred, is kind of how they are. They don't look like people with wings to me either. I think they put on a user interface that so we can help relate to them, and we can understand them and feel like we can connect to them. But angels, I used to see, oh my God, they would come into my room when I was little, and I would literally hide under the bed because first of all, they're huge, and they would come in like a freight train. It would sound like literally like a freight train moving through my room. And then it was all like super high frequency energy ringing in my ears, stuff that I couldn't understand. And I was like, what is like a tornado in your room? And I was like, what the heck is that? And I finally figured out it was an angel. And I'm like, what? Like, not people with wings. Not to me. That's not how I get them. So yeah, they used to terrify me when I was little.
Isn't that interesting with getting like spirit guide names? Like sometimes they're just like, I had the crazy, well, I'll tell you that experience later, but I had an interesting experience with someone else's spirit guides today. But sometimes like the spirit guides are like, no, you need to figure out my name yourself.
Yeah.
You have to find my name. You can't just be given my name. And sometimes they're like, I'm Fred. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Today it was so funny. I was reading for someone that I had read for 2 years ago, and she asked her spirit guides names, which I don't often get, but they told me four names. Four names. And then I was on a show, and another medium that was on the show, she got a reading from. And she asked him, do you know my spirit guide names? And he said four of the same fucking names.
Wow.
That's
That's so
pretty
cool.
dope, right? And
I love that when that happens.
I
Yeah.
love it. Well, it's so funny too, because people will come to me and say, like, in another reading, someone told me this. I'm like, I don't comment on other readings. I don't know that person. And I have no idea what was happening in that
Yeah.
time. So I don't comment on readings, but I was kind of like, well, that's fucking dope. I'm like, I'm going to call that
That's
guy.
cool.
Yeah, totally.
I love that. That's great confirmation for all of you,
Absolutely.
everybody.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
pretty excited about it. What do you hear about reincarnation? What has been your experience with understanding reincarnation or seeing people? Do you see people's past lives when you read for them?
Yeah. I do. It's and what happens when you die is something that I feel pretty clear on, because and where we go, I when I was little I called it soul world because I didn't call it heaven. I called it soul world. And I was super clear because of, all the like thousands of dead people I've seen in my life, they all say the same thing, you know? They all pretty much have like the experiences, and it all matches up with what the NDE people say and what other mediums and psychics experience. Like it's a very congruent story. And the same thing with reincarnation. I've always been able to see people's past lives, my past lives. I've experienced quite a lot of my own past lives. So to me, it's like sky's blue, grass is green, reincarnation's real. Like I have like this massive case file of why I think it's real. But I don't think that it's really about punishment. I think we need to, let go of that kind of punishing idea of karma. And to me, it seems more like leftovers, like whatever you didn't process, whatever you didn't, it's tricky being a human. We go through a lot of stuff while we're here. We get all jacked up, we get all like traumatized, and we have like a lot of baggage. And we don't always get to finish it in one lifetime because, you know, our lives are relatively short. And then we take that baggage into the next lifetime, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to, finish. It's like, well, you didn't eat it for dinner, you're having it for lunch the next day, you know? And that's really a mercy. That's like, like we can think back maybe about the mistakes we've made and the regrets that we have in life and think, okay, I'm going to get a do-over. I am going to get a do. I'm going to have another opportunity to do right by my kids. I'm going to do a better time next time, kids. I promise you. I swear it. I'm going to. But I think more reincarnation is more that like a resolution, opportunity for resolution, not punishment. And isn't that beautiful?
Do you think that we can come back as the same person?
I mean, I think that we're always a little, I mean, there's a core part of us, an essential part of us that never changes,
Yeah, I
that
mean, I've
we,
never seen a Groundhog Day personally, where you're like, you're gonna
no,
be Lisa in the next life to finish. Like,
no,
I don't
and
see
me
that.
never seen that
I've
either.
never
I
seen it.
do see maybe like there, in the quantum world, like we
Sure.
like, there's all
Yes.
these alternative,
Absolutely, and
Lisas out
timelines.
there,
There's
maybe there's that.
timelines. Yeah, there's timelines, there's portals, there's all kinds of stuff, but for the purposes of what we're talking about, I've never seen it. I've never
Me
seen it.
neither. But I do think we have this essential part of us that is very similar to like our core nature, our core values as a soul, our lessons, our karmic connections with other people. There's this piece of congruence. And when I say I do soul readings, that's what I really like to do is look at that piece of the soul, that's sort of the unchanging part of you that holds the whole narrative of your incarnational cycle. And and yet every lifetime you have different DNA, different, experiences, different, you're raised in a different environment. Like, an exact repeat, I think would be like, there wouldn't be much growth there. We want to, pick a lifetime that's going to maximize our growth potential. And that's what we do. I think that's how we pick whatever we're going to experience.
When you've seen past lives, like, was there a past life you saw either in yourself or someone else that you were like, "Oh shit, whoa, that's crazy."
So many. Yeah, so here's a funny story. Like when my son was born, I was living in Germany with my then husband, and they gave me my son, my middle son, and as soon as they put him in my arms, I was like, "Oh my god, he died in a war. He died in a war, and he's going to go back in. He's going to he's going to go back to war." And I was like, "Oh my god, he died in World War II." And we were in Germany. I mean, he was born in Germany, And I was like, "Yep, he died here too. He died here." And when he was really little, he was like obsessed with tanks and airplanes and like World War II memorabilia. I was like watching like, hours long documentaries on the History Channel about World War II. And what did he do? 17, graduated from high school and enlisted into the Marines.
Wow.
And I was like, yep, like he didn't get to complete that experience because he died. And now he's going to go back in and he didn't die. He's a veteran now. Did his 4 years in the Marines and came out. And I knew when he came out, he like cleared his karma, like he cleared his whatever he needed to work through there. He finished it, but that was a weird one right in my own life.
Absolutely. And I mean, do
Yeah.
you the thing that I love is like when I meet someone and I'm like, "Oh, you. Okay.
Yeah.
We've been together.
Yeah,
How you
exactly.
doing? Man, you look
Yeah.
different than the last life, but this is great." It doesn't happen usually that intensely, but it's almost like like a weird fate memory, like a moment, you know what I mean? And I'm like, "Oh, wait, I can't quite get it." You know what I mean? In terms of my own life, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm right there with that person and it's like sand through my fingers, the memory, but I feel that immediate connection. Sure, if I went into deep meditation, but like, sometimes you just feel it, you know?
Yeah, I think it's that spark of recognition, like that sort of like lightning strike moment when you look into somebody's eyes and you're like, "Woo," and you recognize them and you spend an hour trying to figure out where you met each other before and you can't, did we go to the same high school? Like where did we know each other? Or I think we can have like immediate trust in somebody, immediate faith. And, we feel on our higher self, our soul level, we feel the contract, we feel the agreement, we feel the memory of that person's familiarity. And thank God, because it's hard being down here as a human, and we need our soulmates, our soul fam to help us through the bumpy spots.
I've also had misplaced kind of like past lives with people. So, like, meaning I'm just like totally in love with this guy. You know what I mean? And I'm obsessed with him. I want to be with him every second. And like, I felt responsible for helping him and all of this stuff. And then later I realized, oh, okay, I get what it was. We had a brother sister connection in a past life. Like, it was
Hmm.
such an over the top reaction to him, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I was young as well, but like it was such an over the top reaction. There were so many feelings and emotions and things driving me to be with this person that was very, very intense. And that can sometimes clog it.
I think we have to take that on a case by case
I
basis
do
too,
too.
because we feel the connection, but we don't know what's meant to happen there. Maybe in that case, like you had to like pay a karmic debt,
Yeah.
and helping him in this life may have like settled something in the past that needed it. Or we get confused sometimes when we feel those intense relationships. We think it's going to be romantic. We think soulmates are that sort of Disney version of the happy ending, happy ever after, princess version of it. And so often that's not the case. Sometimes our soulmates are there to just dig up all of our shit and put it in our face,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? So we can, and that's sort of the soulmate. It drives transformation. It drives, deep spiritual growth if we take the opportunity to grow. So sometimes they create friction, they're there to create friction and help us grow through that, you know, that kind of like going 30 rounds in the ring, with somebody. And we think it's going to be all romantic, but that's what we get,
I know.
you know?
And especially for
Yeah.
like women, we confuse it too
Yeah.
sometimes. We're just like, oh
That's
no,
right.
we're meant to be friends or meant to be whatever, And it's so
Hmm.
interesting when someone like calls me, they're like, okay, I am married, but I'm having an affair with someone at work, but I know it's due to a past life connection. And sometimes it's like, no, it's not. You know what I mean? Not everything is a past life connection. So I think we can get carried away sometimes. Remember, you're in this earth element, in this experience, and to stay grounded with who you are in this life as well. We can definitely get swept away, carried away, and then become incredibly ungrounded.
I think I call it it's my angels made me do it defense.
Yes, exactly. They're like,
When
this is a past life reason. I'm like, no, you just cheated.
sometimes it's an inner child thing. Sometimes your inner child's having a total meltdown and you
Yes, or
just,
maybe you need to go home and figure this shit out, whether you're gonna break up with the person you're married to or not. Figure it out. Be
yeah.
brave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I know. Sometimes we have those like ego moments, and
totally.
and I think this is something that often new people new to this psychic world and spiritual world, some can kind of give up their sovereignty, give up their agency, and not take full ownership of their decisions, kind of blame it on spiritual things, blame it on the past life, blame it on the angels made me do it or whatever. And I think as we mature spiritually and psychically, we get more agency back, you know, and really remember that we need to be 50-50 co-creators with the universe. We're responsible. The universe can meet us halfway, but we're really in charge of our life and our decisions. And that's where we grow the most.
Have you ever done
Yeah.
hypnosis? Do you do hypnosis?
I don't do it with other people. I've had it done on me, and I don't do regressions either because it's easier for me just to fetch the past life for you, you
Totally.
know?
But I feel like as you're talking, I feel so like calm and relaxed. And I'm like, does she do
Mm,
hypnosis? Because this would
no,
be
but I do guided meditations a lot.
Yeah,
I
that's
do that
exactly.
a lot.
That's right on the money, and that's so good and so good for you. I can totally sense that. And I read this thing that talks about when you feel safe with someone or when you're in alignment with them, or if you're really like vibing off what they're saying, sometimes people feel peaceful, not tired, but like you
Yeah.
can mistake it for that when you're feeling really comfortable,
That's cool. I
That's
love
why I'm
that.
like, are you
Yeah.
hypnotizing me with your words right now? Because I love talking to you. People always ask this, and I know my listeners so well, and I know they're like, ask her this now, ask her this. So What do you think about like dark energy or bad vibes? What is that? We've talked about it so much in this podcast and how,
Yeah,
um, and so many different things. They know what I think about it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you said.
I totally wish I could say it wasn't real. I totally wish I could say, "Oh, if you vibe yourself into enough light, you're never gonna have to deal with that." But honestly, in all of my experience in doing this for 40 years, I started working as a psychic when I was 19, and then I got, trained as a therapist and trained as a Reiki practitioner. All I can say is from my experience, I encounter darkness a lot. And that it's mostly connected with our trauma that we go through some stuff down here. We have so much trauma here, and that this there are spiritual entities and energies that are attracted to the trauma that we have. And so I see, people who are really hardcore addicts often are like covered with sort of dark spirits, or people that have experienced like horrific childhood trauma sometimes have a problem with that. And I just deal with what walks into my office, and I don't want that to be true. It just is what I see over and over and over again. And, I used to not believe in curses until I lived in a town where there were a lot of Brazilian immigrants. And all I can tell you is do not piss off a Brazilian, because there was this lady in town that would put for $500, put a curse on you. And it would people would get sick, people would have horrible luck. Was bad. So I'm like, they were like, "So and so put a curse on me." And I was like, "That's not real. That's not a thing." It can't. And I was after like the 100th person, I was like, "Okay, o it's real." I have to figure out how to deal with this. I wish it wasn't true, but it actually is just what I see, and I just have to deal with what comes into my office. And so I study and learned psychic self-defense. I did a lot of house clearings, people with haunted houses, I'd go in and clear their houses. And it just puts you sort of in in the realm of the darkness. And um it I think it's there. I think in my psychic self-defense, it's sort of like being street smart. If you're street smart, I mean, we know evil's real. We just have to turn on the news. That's like not a surprise to anybody who's listening to this. But like, let's say you want to travel in a big city. If you have street smarts, you can travel in a big city anywhere in the world and be safe, really be safe. And if you don't, you're going to get rolled. And it's the same thing in the psychic worlds. If you do the things, stay in the light and do the safe psychic practices and avoid the dangerous practices, you're going to be fine. But if you don't know what you're doing and you don't think there's any darkness, you might get into trouble.
I couldn't agree more. And I also think people, you have to be careful who you work with, because there are people
Yeah.
that have not trained and do not know how
Yes.
to handle a lot of what comes up in readings, and it's not safe. Like, I see, mediums that have done it for like a year and they're charging. I'm like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
has this person gone into the darkness? I mean, for me, I had a dark night of the soul. It was fucked. It was not fun. It was
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really harrowing and really scary. But then I know what I'm seeing when I'm seeing it,
That's right.
right? Because I've seen it, you know? I
Yes.
know what I
I
see
know.
when I
Me
see it
too.
because I've seen it,
That's
right?
right.
But also, I think too, you guys, if you're working with spirit, be selective. Call in. Think of it like invitation to a party. If you go to like Town Square or Times Square or whatever, and you're like, "Hey, everybody, come hang out," you're gonna have a super weird party. There's gonna be weird
Mhm.
people that show up. So be
Yeah.
selective. Be specific. Focus on what you're actually opening to, and protect your
And
energy.
learning discernment is super important too, and so we can trust our own discernment. And it's really simple. We do it all the time. And when you meet somebody for the first time and you have that instant hit, good, bad, neutral right off the bat. Um, the same thing can be held for spirits. Um, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you feel something in your room, you want to like tune in. Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Does it feel neutral? If it's good, it's probably one of your spirit guides. If it's neutral, it might be a wandering spirit that maybe doesn't need to be there. And if it feels bad, you got to kick in your psychic self defense and get rid of it, which you can do. So we have so much more power in this world than the spirits do. We're the ones that are powerful here, and we have to remember that. But I also think that we don't want to go looking for trouble. Don't take the Ouija board to the abandoned mental hospital and on Halloween and smoke a lot of weed. Don't do that. or if you do that, don't call me because I don't, you
What
know,
would someone have to give you to go and do that? Like, you know what I mean? Like what would
oh
if someone
man,
was like, "Lisa, we wanna hire you to come to a mental hospital with a Ouija board, smoke a hit of
oh man,
weed, and hang out with us and do the Ouija with me."
I don't think there's any amount.
Would you do like
I don't think there's, I don't think there's any amount. I don't know. Like, and I have done that. I mean,
I
I
think
spent years
yeah, me
like
too.
doing house clearings
Me
and,
too, I don't do
back in
them
the
anymore.
90s. Me neither. I
I'd
did it in the
never do one
90s.
again.
Nobody knew what they were doing. There was no manual, there was no book. I was like, "Sure, I'll do that." I was like, "Why not?" I was like totally like clueless. And I got into a lot of trouble. Like I was really ill for years. I brought home an entity that it took years to get rid of. It sort of tormented my children. It was a problem. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's any amount of money that would induce me to do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but maybe 1,000,000 for me.
Maybe a million, 10 million, 10 million.
Maybe 1,000,000, but I don't think I would do it. I have no interest in doing that. It's like, how much would
No.
someone have to pay me to jump out of a plane? I'm like, 0.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm never doing that. You couldn't even pay me to
Yeah.
ride a roller coaster, but that's a whole 'nother thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. We're on the same boat
yeah,
there.
we're on the same wavelength. What do you think about 2026?
It's a strange year. I feel like 2025 just felt like a very internal, like deep inner work. Everybody was sort of rolling around in the swamp of their emotions, and it was a very like introspective, clean out the closet kind of feeling to it. And I feel like 2026 is a very different vibe. It feels way more expansive, way more potential energy. Like, I think we're gonna like move things forward. And I think for the spiritual folks, especially the spiritual folks that have did all the work we were called to do in 2025, there's this funny feeling of like maybe your life is better than it's ever been. Maybe you're, full of joy. Maybe things are really going to happen, and it feels sort of there's some cognitive dissonance there because that's happening at the same time the world is burning down around us in ruins. And I don't know how to hold that. It's like, my level of internal peace and professional um, growth is never better. It's like in a way I've never been happier and settled and secure and successful. And at the same time, the world is burning down around our heads. It's a strange time. But I do think that there's also an opportunity there, so that we're here on purpose. I believe I think we're called to help. I think what we can do is work on our internal state of consciousness. I know I can't change the world, but I know I can. What I can do is keep my internal state of consciousness as high as it can be, bring more light onto the planet, help more people, be more of service, so that we, in general, add more light. This is, we're at this critical point in human evolution, the evolution of human consciousness, and that we are here for a purpose for that. And we better get to it because the time is now.
Yeah, combat or counterbalance all the darkness that we're
Yeah.
seeing. Do you see any crazy weather this year?
Uh, I'm in the sights of a 20-inch snowstorm.
Me too.
I
Where
mean,
are you? Where do
there's
you live?
I'm in New England.
Oh shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in
Yeah.
Philadelphia. We're looking at a crazy snowstorm.
Okay.
But that's not
Crazy
crazy to me.
snowstorm.
I was in high school in 1996 and we had 31 inches.
Yeah,
It was
blizzard of 78.
Oh
Blizzard
yeah.
of 78. I was in junior high school
Yeah.
then.
It
But
was
I mean,
crazy.
I think weather changes are going to be the big thing and I sort of hate to say this, but and I hope I'm not right, but I feel like weather changes, earth changes are going to supersede a lot of the human craziness that is going on. Like it might be so big that we stop the human craziness for a minute because we've got to deal with the tsunami or the earthquakes or the volcanoes or I think that's going to require like our attention, and we may come together in a way that right now we're feeling sort of pulled apart and fighting each other, and we may have to come together just to survive the weather and the earth changes. That's what I think.
For me, the disaster that I see is our electrical grid.
Yes.
That's what I see is a lot. We're
Yes.
gonna lose a
I see
lot
a
of
lot of that
power.
too.
We're gonna lose
Yep.
power. We're gonna lose access to our money. We're gonna lose, um, internet, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not saying this to make everyone afraid. It's okay. We're here for a reason. We came here at this time. We're going to be fine.
Yep.
But that's
We're gonna
really
be
the thing
fine.
that I see. I've seen a
Mhm.
ton of weather. That was wild that I've seen. And now, like, the thing that comes up is the electrical
I
grid.
think volcanoes, I see, like, a lot of volcanic
Wow.
and they're saying there's more earthquakes and volcanoes than ever, and, like, right this today, they're having, like we're having this solar storm, so the coronal mass ejection is the strongest it's ever been in 25 years, and, like, on a scale they put it on a scale of, like, 1 to 5, it's like almost a 5, and that's kind of thing takes out the power grid. Knocks down
Wow.
satellites, that'll fry out the power grid. Yeah. So we're in a very active the sun has, like, sleepy times and active times, and we're in a very active time right now. And, there was a big solar storm in the late 1800s that blew out all the telegraph lines.
Wow.
Just blew them out
Wow.
and that if we have a grid meltdown, I think it'll be solar storm related.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that. That's really interesting. Okay, one more question about what you're vibing on this year. Tell me what you're vibing on with the whole aliens, people seeing aliens, spacecrafts. What are you thinking? Because I have my thoughts and I'm curious about yours.
I just think we're becoming multidimensional beings. We're becoming more multidimensional, and I think those beings are multidimensional. I don't think they fly through space. I think they move through dimensions.
Hmm.
And I think, as psychics, that's what we do. We see through dimensions. When we're seeing ghosts, we're looking into the astral plane, we're seeing into the astral or whatever dimension we're looking into. And I think as we become more multidimensional, we have more contact. And I also think they're hanging around to see what we're gonna do. I'm like, I hope they have their finger on the kill switch for any, craziness that we have going on here. I think that is true. That they're the galaxy is watching closely what happens on planet Earth because it's really important. It's really an important experiment. And we're at the tipping point and we need to not destroy ourselves. I mean, there are people that say there's sort of this battle between the good ones and the bad ones. That seems possible to me. I don't know. Certainly I've met lots of people you know, in my clients who have had abduction experiences, who've had unpleasant experiences, and so I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I guess, that's a thing." My experiences have been more positive. Like, I've had more connection with, the higher frequency benevolent beings that are around, so, I mean, I'm like a Star Wars, Star Trek geek, science fiction geek. I'm like, "Of course it's real." Like, I wish they would get down here soon and invite us into the Federation. I think things would be easier for us, but I think we have to figure it out on our own before when that happens, but, yeah, to me, that's like, of course they're here, and I think that there are lots of them that are working in our favor.
I love that. That takes it like super, super positive. And sometimes there's just shit we're not supposed to know because we're still here
Yeah,
to evolve our souls. So we have to keep going.
yeah,
Okay, so I think a lot of people are going to want to work with you. This is so, so awesome. And it's so great to talk to you. And we had talked about you possibly bringing up some messages for me if you felt that aligned right now, and especially in our conversation. Because I find it's exciting for people to hear how you work, but this is only if it's aligned for you and
sure.
and how you
Yeah,
feel.
I would love to, and, yeah, do you have a question or somewhere you would like me to
Okay, okay.
focus?
Now I feel like I'm, like, winning the lottery right now with you, and I'm like, when I ask people to ask questions, I'm like, "Come on, I've got a million questions. Ask a question," but now it's me, and I'm like, "Oh my god. Oh my god. This is so exciting because I don't ever get readings. Do you?
Hardly ever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hardly
hardly ever.
ever, and every time
Yeah.
that I've tried to get a reading, people are like, I can't read for you. I can't read."
Aw.
I know. Okay. So, also, are you a medium as well? Like, do you deal with people's
I
crossover?
do. I always say I'm not a medium, but mediumship happens,
Yeah, yeah.
So mediumship happens when it's what needs to happen, when that's, what I seem to like whatever your burning thing is, that's what I can do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go. I'm going to ask you one like spiritual question and then one more earthly question. Does that align?
Great.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
sure.
So
Whatever
since
you
we
want.
were
Yeah.
talking about past lives. Oh, wait. Do I want to ask about past lives or my spirit guides that you see? Let's start with past lives and tell me what came up for you.
Um, what came up for me was right away was Atlantis.
Oh my
Was
God.
your
Do you want to see what I just wrote
enter
down? My pen is
no.
up. Do you
Was
see
it
my pen up,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Let me drop my pen. Do you want to fucking see what I wrote?
Oh my God,
Atlantis.
Atlantis.
I fucking
That's
wrote
totally fine.
I wrote down, okay, so let me just show you. So I wrote down past lives, and then right under that I wrote Atlantis. And you're like, I'm
Atlantis.
seeing Atlantis. Okay, good.
I wrote it too. I wrote it too. As soon as you said past lives, I wrote down Atlantis.
Atlantis. I did
Um,
too. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So Atlantis was your point of entry in onto the planet. It was a really beautiful series of lives for you, like a lot, very exciting, very um it's kind of I could see you like incarnating through the whole birth and rise and fall of that culture. And that it's the fall of that culture was incredibly sad for you. I think you were distraught at the fall of Atlantis, and
Mm.
that um, you were probably even a survivor of of the fall of Atlantis. And the Atlanteans like they went to Egypt, they went to the Celtic Islands, they went to South America, you know, and sort of seeded the other people with the knowledge of Atlantis. And I think you were part of that, kind of continuing the wisdom tradition of Atlantis to because I think when Atlantis fell, it was part of the flood, the end
Oh
of
my God.
you know
Yes.
end of the flood,
I have to tell you about a
end of the ice
dream
age
I
flood.
had. Yes.
And that you were like, oh, humanity almost didn't make it. I think you were really part of the let's not lose what we gained. And there's some really 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 deep dedication or mission in your soul to continue. You're not leaving the planet until you feel like people are safe, the humanity is safe, the wisdom is safe, the knowledge is safe. It's kind of like humanity is like a child, and your dedication is to but keep that child going until they're kind of like on their own. And we're getting closer, but there's this it's incredibly strong mission for you to stay with humanity until we reach this point where we're going to be okay on our own.
That is so awesome. I love that we both wrote that down. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And I did have a dream. I'm very weary of like a lot of terminology like star seeds and like just different terminology or Atlantis or like I'm weary of that because I just want to see what I see and feel what I feel about that person instead of labeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the validation of Atlantis that I've gotten is so wild and like I remember like I had a dream where I was sitting basically on the top of a gorgeous glass skyscraper almost, but on the very tip
Mm.
of it because the rest was underwater. And I was
Wow.
sitting there with someone else and I was just watching this rush of water kind of go into the sea with different
Yeah.
things and houses. It wasn't dark water
You
though.
were there.
Yeah, it
You were
wasn't
there.
dark, like, the water was still blue. It was very weird. It was very weird, but I
Mm.
remember it, and so there's a lot of validation. I'm very skeptical on purpose because I wanna make sure I relate to everyone and what they might be thinking and feeling. So but it's just
Yeah.
so validated. That's wild. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Um so then the other thing would be, I mean, there's so many questions, but I'm curious about, and I want people to hear you talk about stuff here. And I'm wondering what you see moving forward because I have many different paths in my work and my career.
Hmm. Um, well, you asked about your spirit guides, and the one that I got was like, I want to say it's Metatron. It's
Oh,
like one of
wow.
those super high frequency angels
Wow.
that's coming down and is sitting like right in the top of your
Wow.
crown chakra, and at your third eye, there's this like really beautiful like star, like light coming out of your third eye,
Oh, wow.
and I think when you're meditating, if you see that light, that's this angel coming down and talking to you.
Wow.
And the angel is saying Metatron is a very high frequency, the highest frequency of all of the archangels, and that
Wow.
said that he is the voice of God.
Wow.
That he's you know God can't speak to us directly so much, so Metatron is sort of the intermediary. And the message that I get is more about channeling, that you're going to be channeling.
Mm.
You'll have the option to do that. I think you'll start doing it. You're just
Wow.
going to open your mouth and start channeling, or while you're writing, you're going to start channeling. And that there's been a little fear or resistance for you, like you haven't
Mm.
wanted to fully step into that,
Hmm.
um, because you like having your own will about things. Like you want to do what you want to do,
Mhm, mhm.
and channeling is a higher, putting our own will aside and letting something come through us. Um, and I think you're going to be an excellent channel. So I would recommend that you play
Mm.
around with that in a very clear channel, because you've worked so long on clearing your psychic channel that
Mhm.
you'll be an exceptionally clear channel.
Wow. What would I do with
Yeah.
that?
Feels like writing, speaking, talking, standing in front of big groups of people, and channeling. It's impactful. So there's an impact. Impacting more people is definitely on your ticket. So whatever you're doing in the future, um, ask your like. I also think for you, it has to be fun. It has to be, you know, not you're not afraid of working hard, but there has to be sort of an alignment inside of you and a joy
Mm,
in what you're doing. And I think this would be a good time maybe to stop doing some of the things you don't love anymore, even if
mm,
you are attached to them, or they're like what you've always been doing, or it's
mm,
like part of your identity, part of your brand even.
I wonder what that
That
is.
there might be some things that you're ready to let go of, and you would feel tired. You would feel drained or tired or bored with,
Mm,
some
mm.
of the things that are in your scope. So in the next 12 year this is a 12-year cycle for you.
Oy,
So in the
that's
next
long.
I know, it's a long
I
one.
thought I
Yeah.
just ended a
So
cycle. I'm on a
you
new.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on a new cycle. Yeah. So
Mhm,
this in the beginning of this is really about joy, resonance, deep attunement, and
mm.
impact.
Impact, so in front of more people.
Yeah, you might, for example, give up some of the one-on-one readings, you might do group readings, you might um I think you're going to ask yourself, how can I impact more people? I mean,
Mm,
this podcast is great. Clearly you have a great impact on a lot of people with this. So I think
mhm.
more things like this is what I see on your ticket.
That's cool, and those opportunities will arise, you feel like.
Oh yeah. I think like all you'll have to do is say yes.
Oh, I love that. I was thinking that this should be like a yes year where I just say yes to everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you
You
ever
just say
seen
yes.
did you ever see that movie Yes Man?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
hilarious? That is the
Yeah.
funniest movie, what situations he gets himself into, you know?
By
Um,
saying yes.
that
I
is
know.
such a beautiful message. Thank you so much. I take that to heart and I really appreciate that. It's just such an exchange of
Mm.
energy and energy for you to give out and for you to give me that gift for those messages. I accept
Yeah,
them
of
with so
course.
much gratitude. Really. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
oh, what a joy. Oh my God. I don't want to get off. Let's talk about it more. So this is amazing. So how can people work with you? How can they find your books?
So, you can find everything at my website, lisacampion.com. That's where you could go. I have a lot of free resources on my website. I have a pretty fun YouTube channel, also full of free resources. My books you can find at any bookseller, Amazon or any of the booksellers will do it. And I have my own podcast called The Miracle of Healing. Check that
Ooh,
out. Yeah, it'd be fun to have you on my podcast. I hope you'll come onto my podcast too.
I think that would be
And
great.
yeah, that'd be so fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. Stop by my website, lisacampion.com. Leave me a message or a comment, because I really love to hear from you.
Oh, that's so awesome. I think you guys, I really feel comfortable with Lisa. I think she's amazing. And I think she's a wonderful person to work with. So for everyone listening, know that. And then do you have Instagram? You have Instagram. I just wrote you on Instagram. I was like,
Sure. Yeah, I
because
have
we were having
Instagram, and I
technical
have
difficulties.
all the usual socials I have, Facebook, Instagram. You can
Yeah.
find me at all those spots.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. What a joy. What a joy to be with you. I'm so glad we found each other. Thank you to Eris. Is
Yes,
that his
thank
name?
you. I know. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
so
I
great.
know.
I know. That was awesome. We got connected through a podcast PR, he sent me a message, I think about someone else. And then I
Mhm.
said, then there were people from that group that kept writing me different people. And I said, Eris, just tell me people in a list that you think would be a great fit. And then you were one of the people. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love her. Yes. So I'm glad it was a
Cool.
fit
Oh,
and I'm
I'm
glad it
sorry.
was a hit. And I just so appreciate your time in doing this with me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's absolutely my pleasure. So fun.
Good. So, friends, definitely look up Lisa. Thank you so much for listening today. I think there's a bunch of things we've never talked about, believe it or not, today, which is so fun. So we have so much more to come. Stay with me. But also know that if you took nothing else away from this podcast today, know in your heart, in your spirit, that you are not alone. You are loved, you are supported. God lives you, and so do I. Thank you for being with me. God bless, guys. Much more to come. Take good care. We'll talk soon.